Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second Ideas Edition podcast of 2025. And today I have an amazing guest here with me. It is really an honor and a privilege to introduce you guys to Brian Clemens. He's actually the director of sales and marketing for one of our biggest MSO partners here in Central Florida. And I'm so excited to hear from him, know a little bit more about his story and how he got started in this industry and how, this MSO partner helps our clients each and every day here in Central Florida. So Brian, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jorge, and thank you for having us. We really appreciate your partnership. You guys are fantastic.
Oh, no problem. It is my pleasure. And hey, I know you have a busy schedule, and I'm so glad that you were able to spend this time with us here at Idea Insurance and just talk a little bit about, what you do for the community out here in Central Florida. So that's going to be amazing, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, we would like to hear from you, like who Brian Clemens is. If you can let us know, how you got started, how you moved here to Orlando, and how long you've been doing business in this community, and how long have you been working in this space?
Sure. First of all, let me tell you, I'm honored for you guys to have us. So your team out here, and for you, thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to be here. And then just a little bit about me. I'm a Midwestern boy. I was born in Dubuque, Iowa, and grew up in the Chicagoland area.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's why I'm happy, even though it's very cold in Florida right now. I'm much happier to be here, not in negative 9 degrees.
Yeah, that's cold us over there right now.
No. The Windy City is absolutely freezing right now. So I'm happy to be in the great state of Florida. And I came down here. How I wound up in Florida is I just decided one day that I was actually celebrating a Bears Super Bowl victory and slipped on a patch of ice and hit my head on a sidewalk. Oh. And so that's why when I was in college or getting ready to apply to colleges, and I applied to San Diego State, Florida State, UCF, anywhere where there wasn't snow, Texas. I applied to all those universities. I was like, I am not going to slip on a patch of ice and hit my head ever again. So when I came down in, it's quite a while ago. I probably won't even say the time, but I've been down here a while. I just decided I'm never going to live somewhere where it's freezing, patches of ice, and there's snow ever again. So
that is so amazing. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I actually came down here with an Army duffel bag, and a black and white TV, and that's it. And I did not know a soul. And I just came to the great state of Florida.
So you had no family, no connections. Nope. Nothing at all. And
nope.
Why Florida?
Again, no snow. And actually to expand on that, UCF got my paperwork back faster. San Diego State accepted me, but they were on a semester situation, and UCF is now, but back then they were on a trimester situation. So they got my paperwork back, and I was only out of school for a couple months, and then it was right back. My dad wanted me to stay in college and finish. So, I was right back in school, right down at UCF. And when I came down, it had to be like 80 degrees, New Year's Day.
Awesome, yeah.
And fireworks going off and sunny and warm. So never went back.
Of course, yeah, it happened to me. I've been here 15 years now, and I love that since I stepped my foot in Florida, because it's so beautiful, so sunny, everything's clean. So I guess you probably had the same feeling when you came down here.
I did. And where are you from? I don't even know where you're from.
I was born in Dominican Republic. And then I went when I was 10. I moved to Puerto Rico for a little bit, so I did my high school over there, and then when I was 17, that's when I moved to Orlando.
Okay.
And then I've been living here for I think more than 15 years now. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, it's I loved it, and right now Florida is in this growing stage where business is good, a lot of people moving in.
Yep.
I see so much opportunity for our industry in insurance, your industry with the clinics. So it's just booming, and people need to take advantage of that, especially in our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I don't know if you see the same thing, right?
Oh, you can tell just by driving through Central Florida or taking the Turnpike or taking any of the local, the East-West Expressway. And then with all the construction too, I mean, constantly you're seeing them wide the highways, and even places like Ocala. I don't know if you guys are up in Ocala, but you see out in West Marion, there are new developments almost every day. So it's crazy how much Florida has grown. And it's been nice to have been here and kind of see the growth. It's exciting.
That is amazing. And then how did you start in the medical field? Did you graduate from UCF, something related to medical, or?
No.
It happened to me. I study accounting.
You did?
In Valencia College.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how I got up in the insurance field, right? But it happens, right? You do something totally opposite of what you study. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I will. I graduated with this, but it kind of fits. I graduated with a sociology degree from UCF. And then I just immediately, like when I started looking at the careers and opportunities and what the base pays were, I was like, holy smoke, I'm going to have to shift real quick. So I wound up getting into sales initially, and I did heavy construction equipment for a while.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I got into pharmaceutical sales, and that's how I kind of evolved into like the medical side of things. So I did a pharmaceutical sales for about 15, 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you have to do visits, like the different doctors, right? And then sell maybe the company or the pharmaceutical.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our countries, I do have a lot of agents that they were raised in Venezuela, and that's what they did, or Dominican Republic too.
Yep.
And surprisingly, they end up being great insurance agents.
So they're not afraid to talk to the customers.
Yeah, so if they, like, I've seen the agents that come with that experience from their countries, and then start in the insurance field here, they become great agents because they already have maybe that marketing to talk to clients, right?
Yes, absolutely. It sort of eliminates that, because if you can talk to a doctor, you can talk to a cardiologist, you can talk to anybody. You know what I mean? Awesome. I did that for about 15 to 18 years, and I kind of got into the phase of, I was always selling to the physician. And now, I had some opportunities come up. I had one of my doctors actually recruit me and say, hey, and this was for another MSO, not the one I'm with currently, but say, hey, listen, how about you come on to our side and help us build, what we're doing? And I was like, you know what? I like that idea. So I wound up doing that, coming over rather than trying to sell something to them. Now I was trying to help get patients into their practice and grow their practices and their businesses, as well as expand, through an affiliate model, expand their kind of reach throughout Central Florida. So that's kind of how I got into this space, and I absolutely love it. And I love working with partners like yourself and other brokers and agents in the captive and brokers throughout Central Florida, and I've grown to love it.
Yeah, it's a great partnership because what we do on our side is especially when someone just moved in, they need insurance. Yeah, but they need a doctor too,
of course,
because they're not gonna see their doctor from if they move to Orlando, or if they move even from another state, right?
Right.
They have to kind of stop that relationship and get established here. So so that's when you as an MSO partner really kicks in, and we're able to do those connections, and
absolutely,
and then we trust that you will take care of that client for us, right? So I think it's a great partnership. It has been for a long time. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. I always think about when you think about business models, and we were just talking about when I first met you and where you are from there to where you are today, and everybody's you're building something, right? You're building your book of, whether you're an agent, you're building your book of business, or in your case, you're building kind of an empire, if we're being honest, with how much you've grown and how well you've done. And then you're expanding your reach, you're expanding your frequencies. So it was no different on the, on the physician side too. It's you're trying to do the same things. You're trying to have good business partners. You're trying to get them to put their membership or their clients into your clinics. Then the doctor does his job. He takes care of them and makes sure they're healthy and do well. You make sure that the benefits are being exercised properly, right? And then once they're parked and they're okay, and you know that book is protected, then you go out and you find more clients.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for us.
I love that. Can you mention some of the things that, once we put a patient with your MSO group, what are some of the things that you guys do to improve the client's life or make that life better as an MSO? What are some of the key things you look for?
Sure. Well, I'm going to address some of the things initially when they come in, and then the things as they move along in that process of being a patient.
Perfect.
So initially, and I think they did away with it. I think the new CMS law did away with the I know you'll know the name of it, where we get the initial diagnosis, basically the screening. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so like the chronic conditions code.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So if they had a certain conditions,
Absolutely.
You had to do
HRA. Is it HRA? Helps. It came to be. There you go. Yeah, so you do the HRA, and that helps the physician or the physician group or the MSO set the baseline for the patient. So you're right. You're 100% right when you talk about chronic conditions. If they've got COPD, they got diabetes, something like that, congestive heart failure, all those things are set up front so that, we get the coding done correctly on the backside, and you make sure that all the HEDIS measures for prevention are all kind of in place too. So all that starts initially. So you've got that information in the background of the patient so that the physician isn't coming in blind. You guys are almost like a pre-screener, truthfully. If you think about that, right? You know what medications they need. That's why you're setting them up for a plan, right? And so, and then you find out if they've got that chronic condition. So then walking in, the physician or the practice isn't blind. They've got a little precursor to what the care for that patient will look like.
So when they come in, you already have that information from the carrier. You already get that data.
Absolutely.
That is amazing.
And it is. And sometimes, so not everything's caught, right, in that situation. But it is almost like an initial interview with the patient. So you've got that. So then once you get them in, you get them established, you make sure that everything, all those things do line up, that they're coded correctly, that they on the right medications, and, the HEDIS measurements are a part of that as well. So once that's set up, then it's all about making sure if it's somebody who's chronic, that they have regular visits, that the condition is being, treated appropriately, that we're trying to keep them from having to visit, especially with COPDers. And actually, it's a great example right now with the cold dip that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
This is when COPDers have their exacerbations.
Wow.
Is when you have severe temperature changes. That's when they wind up going to either an urgent care center or winding up in an emergency room. Well, if you're doing preventative care, you're calling those, or you're having them come into the clinic so that they don't, make sure that they have their COPD medications, their inhalers and things like that, so that they don't wind up in the emergency room, and also giving them access to the clinic should they have an exacerbation that, the physician could get them in right away.
Wow.
Rather than, nobody really wants to be in the ER, right?
Yeah, especially now with this cold and, the flu season also coming in. So you guys having that information, you're able to identify those patients and do that extra mile of giving them a call, making sure they get their medications, really work on that preventive care, which is amazing.
Yeah, we have care managers set up specifically for that.
Wow.
So that if somebody comes in with one of those conditions, that they wind up on a roster with a care manager, and the care manager can, they can almost identify through the computer system, okay, these people have COPD, they normally have more exacerbations when there's a dip in the temperature, so they can have a few more touch points with that patient, your client, and we'll make sure that they don't wind up. I guess you can't make sure, but try to make sure that they don't wind up on the ER. Yeah.
That is so amazing what you guys do, and it's incredible. You guys actually have all that data to be able to make those good decisions for the client. So, Brian, talking a little bit more now about sales and marketing. You've been in sales for such a long time. You deal with sales teams. You build organizations. You've grown organizations. So, what are some of those sales tips that you can say that have taken you to where you are right now? What are some of the principles maybe you have done to get to grow or get to where you are right now from a sales standpoint?
From a sales standpoint, I would say this, and I think you know this because you built what you have here. We're a series of people. Your clients, if you don't do right by your clients, if you don't do right by your employees, if you don't do right by, the person that's bagging your groceries or cleaning your bathrooms, if you don't do right by people, it's a reflection, back on you. And it's funny because I think a lot of times what's going on with kind of in Hollywood and things like that right now, you see somebody's in front of the camera or in a podcast, they seem wonderful, right? And then all of a sudden you find out on the backside, maybe they're not so wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that going on.
Yeah. So the same thing here. How you treat other people is a reflection of you and your business. So I would say that translates into sales, right? People can tell when you don't care. Wow. They can tell when you're, superficial, right? You're just chasing the money or you're not interested in them as a person or what they're doing. They can tell. So, and I can tell you just even in human interaction, people can tell if you're shutting them down or if you're really, truly interested, right? So I would say that's step one is you have to care. You have to care about your sales team, your people. I know that you do already. So, and they can feel that. They can feel that. So if you're good, I think that's what leads to success initially is that you have to show you care.
Awesome.
I think also you have to be very strategic. And you have to have goals. If you think about a life without goals, right? Well, did you hit your sales goal last quarter or last month or whatever? Well, I don't know. Nobody's going to accept that answer. You're going to be out. So you have to have a very specific goals and a strategy to go about hitting those goals.
I love that because especially now, we're beginning of the year, and a lot of people talking about goals, but you know what I've noticed with goals, Ryan? A lot of people put a goal down that they want to achieve this year or they want to make X amount of money, but something happens along the line and then all of a sudden they forget about that goal or it doesn't give them the fuel to keep going, right?
Right.
And it's like a mystery. We don't know what exactly happens versus how excited you are at the beginning of the year versus 2 or 3 months later where what happened. What are some of the things that keep you going during maybe tough times or if you can expand on that would be great.
Sure. Well, first I want to bring something up and then I'll dive into the answer that you're talking about. I think Quitter's Day is this Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
I heard Quitter's Day.
It's like the third Friday. It's the second or the third Friday. I can't remember. Maybe folks that run the podcast here can double check us on that. But I know that Quitter's Day is like the second or third Friday of January, and sure enough, so people set these goals, like you said, write them down on paper, and then the second or third week in January, you're not working out anymore, or you're not working on your goals anymore. That's crazy. So I will say that things as far as you have to have a strategy first to get to your goals, and then you have to be self-motivated. You have to have like a sense of purpose about what you do, because if you can't, I always say this, if I have to get you out of bed in the morning, or if I have to tell you what your goals are, or if I have to babysit you, you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Because if you're self-motivated, if there's something, you have a sense of purpose. And I think about the people we help, right? And I'm going to specifically talk about you and what your people do, okay? If I don't know how to exercise silver sneakers,
yeah,
how am I going to get to the gym? How am I going to get that covered? If I don't have a real professional agent in front of me who's telling me what medications are covered, so I've had this condition, whatever it is, COPD, whatever, we'll just throw it out there. If I don't know if my medications are covered, I don't know if my gym membership's covered, if I don't know if I have transportation, if I don't know any of those things, and somebody isn't passionate about delivering those things to me, then I'm not going to exercise them, and it goes by the wayside. Whereas if you have somebody who's super passionate, like, hey, Mr. Johnson, I saw, we've got your inhaler set up for your COPD. We've got transportation set up for your appointment. This is the gym that's closest to your house, and silver sneakers or whatever it is. I don't know. Yeah. That's your field of expertise, not mine. But that this gym is covered on your plan.
Exactly.
And so now you can start going, every morning or whatever you want to go. I was at a gym I live up in the Mount Dora area, and there was this guy with COPD, and he was the first one in the gym. And he was always there when I was leaving, getting ready to go to work. And this guy, he had his inhaler with him, but he was on the treadmill, he was in the machines, and he had made a conscious decision, no more cigarettes, no more bad foods, and he was going to move his body.
That is amazing.
Yeah. That's the kind of, I'm sure from you and I, that's kind of clients we want, right?
Yeah.
Who are taking personal responsibility for their health and are doing something about it, keeping their goals and moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. Like, people don't know what they don't know, right?
Right.
And it is our job as agents to let them know of their benefits, what they get to once they sign up. Because you know what I found in most cases?
What's that?
Like, they're on a plan, but they don't know what benefits they have. And, it takes a really experienced agent that's passionate to really dive in and let them know, hey, you got this, you got this, you got this. And not only tell them, but show them how to use it.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not only telling them that they have a gym membership. Where can I use it? Where can I go? And doing that extra mile.
Yep.
Because I tell you, CMS doesn't require you to tell them where can they use the benefits.
Right.
They're just required to tell them they have it.
Sure.
But if you go that extra mile, it means a lot. And you will get more business. They'll know that you care, like you said. You build that relationship, and it will end up in referrals and more sales. Like, do you agree with that? Like,
well, I was thinking in my head as you were speaking. So how many people do we know have personal trainers, right? They have a personal trainer who teaches them how to use, the bench press machine, or teaches them how to do their abdominals correctly, or teaches them how to, because if you walk into a gym for the first time, you don't know how to use the equipment. Someone's got to show you. It's no different when you're selling an insurance plan.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I'm in the middle of my life. I've never once read my insurance plan. Not once. You know what I mean? Like, it's always been through my company, and I didn't know how to exercise the benefits. But I'll tell you, the people that when I can make a phone call that can answer a question or tell me how to exercise my benefits, because I have made those phone calls, or where to go, or how I can get something done, they're pure gold to me. So that's what your people are, is pure gold, because if somebody knows how to exercise their benefits, that means they're invested in their health. And those are the type of patients that, it's no different than us right now in the age we're in, or even the next generation coming up. If you're concerned about your health and your well-being, you're just going to do better, because we're all aging.
Wow.
Death comes for all of us, right? So if we age and age well, because we're getting more information, or know how to exercise our benefits, or get on a certain diet plan, or have that personal trainer, all those things sort of tie into overall wellness and health.
Wow, that is amazing. And love that we're talking about health, because I think it ties in perfectly to what we do as insurance agents and you as an MSO partner. So that is amazing. And if we can keep that client healthy for long, it benefits everybody, right?
Sure.
Mortality will probably go up. I don't know the exact statistics on that, but I'm pretty sure that if you're healthy for a longer period of time, you will live more.
Sure.
But as agents, we will also be able to establish that relationship for a longer period of time as well.
Well, think about your book of business. If you've got a healthy client, that they stay on the books longer, just because they generally are involved in their health and their health care. They're asking you, how do I get my gym benefits? Is there a healthy foods card? Those type of things which you guys answer every day. And if they're actually exercising those benefits and exercising, then they stay on the books for longer, and you continue to you build your book, as well as if you're doing those things for your clients. My guess is, and I'm sure this happens, internal referrals.
Oh, yeah.
They're saying, hey, JC told me, I got this benefit, I've got this, and then that person's giving you a call to say, hey, what are you doing for my neighbor? I want you to do it for me.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I imagine from the MSO part of things, it happens the same, right? So if your doctors do a really good job at taking care of that client's health on the medical side, they will also refer their friends to the clinic, right? It happens the same.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think patients, just like we talked about, patients can tell if a doctor cares too. You know what I mean? If a doctor's not looking at you, is not touching you.
We do hear that a lot from our clients,
Yeah.
Oh, this doctor just did this, that, didn't even look me at my face.
Accident computer, didn't look me in the eye, didn't ask me about my background, didn't go do a thorough review of my my med list or something like that. And I can tell you about the company I'm with currently. We have a minimum of a 40-minute window.
Wow.
Yeah, for our patients to spend time with the doctor and for our doctors to engage them. So, most times it's 5, 10, 15 minutes you're out the door, not with us.
Wow, that is amazing. And that's so important because, older clients, they kind of, the doctor is an expert. He does what's best for me. But we're getting now to this new generation, I want to say, that's turning 65. They really want to know why you're prescribing me this, what's really going on. Can you explain me this? So
100%.
They really want to be educated on, what's really going on. So I don't know if you noticed that, but and we get that on the same insurance field now. They really want to know their benefits and how to use them, where, before we would just tell them they were fine with it. They didn't object as much. And I think it's because of this new baby boomer generation. They want to know.
I'm glad because if you just take a pill because somebody told you to, or if you just go get a procedure because somebody told you to, and you don't know the why behind it, and you don't understand the process, do you mind if I do some statistics? Is that okay with you?
Of course, you're the expert. Let's go.
I don't know if I'm the expert, but back in 2017, the CDC did a study on diabetes and on pre-diabetes.
Wow.
Take a guess what percent of the U.S. population, but this is 2017, so we're a ways away from that.
Yeah.
Take a guess on what percent of the population either has pre-diabetes or diabetes in the U.S.
I think it's like a third, no?
Yeah, you're spot on. Third, it's about 33%.
That's
so think about that. Pre-diabetes,
yeah,
or diabetes.
Yeah.
So we're basically on the on the cusp of a crisis with diabetes in the United States. So I like that, just what you're talking about, the baby boomers. Well, let's take ownership of that. Let's take ownership. And I'm not just talking about the retirees now. I'm talking about you, kids that are growing up.
Yeah.
Like, let's understand the processes as to why. Why are we getting sick? What in our diets is creating it? I mean, everybody knows that, like, alcohol and cigarettes, you can't help it. Like, you look at those things, right? Mm-hmm. But what other things?
The other foods, right?
Foods. What's in our food? So what are we ingesting? How often are we ingesting? What, some people talk about the keto diet. Some people talk about, being vegan. All these, you have all these different factions that want these different answers, right? I don't know what's right or what's wrong. I don't have the answers myself. But the fact that people are investigating it and trying to be more focused on their own health and how they mature and how they age, I think is a good thing, a super good thing.
It is. And having that doctor that can, educate them as well and have the, evaluate that as well. Not only what Google says. I think that's important too. So that is amazing, Ryan. It's been amazing. So I want to know a little bit more, Brian. We're getting now to the inspirational part of the podcast. And, I always like to ask the guests questions about, things that have helped them get to where they are. And, of course, you've been very successful throughout the years, and you have a very strong position right now with the MSO you're currently working with. But the Brian I'm talking to right now is not probably the same Brian than 20 years ago. So
no, it is
can you, give us some things that you have done that have helped you in your personal life or your professional life? Can you give us some advice to the audience on what things, or maybe what books have you read that have helped you? Maybe name the 5 best books that you've read.
Well, I'm going to start with one that it's not going to be about like a publisher or anything like that. I'm going to start with one, then I'll give you another 5. Okay?
Awesome. Yeah.
Number 1, the Bible.
Oh my God.
Number 1, the Bible. Anytime you can feed yourself from that, and that's like the all-time best-selling, that's...
I think most wisdom I find in books actually come from the Bible.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Crazy. When I started reading the Bible, I've read many books before I started reading the Bible. I'm like, this is crazy. This was written 2,000, 4,000 years ago, whatever.
Has some sage advice in it.
And like, this book says the same thing that was written 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Still relevant.
Still relevant today. It's still relevant. Amazing book.
Yeah.
Love it, though.
So I would start there. That would be my first, my first recommendation. But then after that, some reads that I think are just fantastic. And I'm going to address marketing first, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
So guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing. I highly recommend guerrilla marketing. It talks all about, so just what you and I are doing right now, right? We're getting to know each other in this podcast, right? A little more probably than we have in other interactions.
Of course.
It's the same thing. Like when you're face to face with somebody, you can't fake it.
Yeah.
You can't fake emotions. You can't do any of that stuff. So when you're ground level, when you're face to face, I had an old manager that used to say, when you're belly to belly with your client, and I'm sure your clients can tell, you just can't fake it. So guerrilla marketing, and that's doing things like face-to-face interactions, like tabletopping. I know a lot of your people tabletop. That's technically guerrilla marketing.
Wow.
Doing events at the ground level, which I know your people do that as well.
Like grassroots type of marketing.
Communities, tabletops, those type of things, where you're face-to-face, belly-to-belly with your clients. And they can tell whether you're interested or not.
That is an interesting book. Guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing, yes, yeah. That's one of the first ones I read when I got out of pharmaceuticals and started getting into physician marketing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
And marketing is such a huge thing. Every agent needs to know how to market themselves if they want to be successful, you know? What's more important to you, sales or marketing?
So to me, I would say sales. And I'll tell you why. Because in sales, just like we're talking about, like you can market yourself. People do social media marketing all the time now, right? You can be on all the different platforms, all that stuff. But that doesn't mean I know who you are. That doesn't mean that you're sincere. That just means that you have a presence. And don't get me wrong, in today's world, you have to have those things. You have to have LinkedIn, you have to have Facebook, all those things, Instagram, all that. You have to have it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're sincere or not.
That's true. Yeah.
Talking to you just now?
You still don't know me, right? You've seen something, but it's just a reflection of,
So it's good. I think those things are good to create awareness or attention. But until I sit across from you, until we're belly to belly, I can't tell if you're sincere or not. So that's why I like sales better than marketing, because people can genuinely tell if you're in the game, if you're for them, if you're gonna, if you're gonna follow up, if you're gonna return a phone call, all those things, as opposed to marketing, which just is, I'm trying to point you in a certain direction.
Yeah, it's trying to get you as a lead versus, wow. Yeah. That I never thought about it that way, but you are totally right. The sales aspect is what's going to determine the yes or no of that client and whether they're going to trust you or not necessarily the marketing part.
You trusted me to come in and make a fool of myself today, right? If you think about it, but you didn't know me. And so now, we're kind of getting to that place, where you trust is something you develop with your clients over time. And I'm sure you, in your book of business, you have a gazillion people who have trusted you. And then we talk about, you want to talk about real sales is when somebody who's dealt with you professionally refers you to their friend, to their neighbor, to their family member, because you've developed trust and credibility. And now all of a sudden that expands too. How many times have you been to a restaurant that didn't treat you well or had bad food and you told everybody under the sun, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But your favorite restaurant, you save for your favorite people. Like, hey, I go there all the time and order this or have this person make that for you. And it's kind of the same. I think it's the same concept here, like people that you trust, you share your secrets with, and you're willing to pass them on. So I think that's what you do with your clients is.
Exactly.
And same thing with our physicians, with our patients. Once you develop trust, then they're willing to say, hey, Martha, my neighbor, or my cousin or whatever, hey, you got to go see this.
Yeah, that is amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
What has been the best advice someone has given you in this industry, from a sales and marketing standpoint?
Best advice. That's an interesting question. I don't know if I'm necessarily prepared. I think I would say this. And it goes on what we've been talking about, is you have to be genuine. You have to be genuine. If you're veneer, if you're fake, people see it. And that I wouldn't say that's from one person. I would say that's, we're going to talk about the books.
Yeah.
So I'll get back to him. But Simon Sinek is somebody I read who that would be one of the book recommendations.
I love Simon Sinek.
You do?
Yeah, I like the
Start with
I
why.
had the tech talks, and
Yes.
man, I love his tech talks.
Yeah. So Leaders Eat
The
Last.
Power of Why, is it? With the one
Start with Why.
Start with Why.
Start with Why. So those are two of the books I would talk about. I would talk about Leaders Eat Last is a fantastic book. And
Putting the people first.
other people first.
Wow.
If you're putting yourself first, again, we talked about being genuine. People pick up on that.
Yeah.
He only cares about himself. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about my business, doesn't care about my clients or my patients. None of that.
Wow.
If you only care about yourself. So if you eat last, other people are first, right? And again, you can tie that back into biblical stuff as well. If you were talking about that earlier. So, and then start with why. If I don't explain to you thoroughly, I just tell you, hey, Jorge, we've got to do this. Most people are like, whoa, hold on a second. Please say, I might be willing to do it, but why are we doing it? What's the purpose behind it? So Start with Why is a fantastic book too.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah.
Last question. If you have to give an advice to the 20-year-old Brian Clemens, what would you tell him?
Wow. Wow. I would say, so I'm a big fan of Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor.
Yeah.
The kind of the founder of Stoicism, along with like Socrates, Plato, all of those great philosophers. I would say, I wish I would have learned that earlier, that was introduced into my life, because I didn't get a chance to tell you, but I was widowed in 2015. So I've been a single dad. Yeah. Well, 3 kids for 10 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Raising 3 kids, man.
Raising 3
Were they still under 18 at that point? Or
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were 9, 11, and 16.
man, that's so tough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So for me, if my younger self would have been introduced to that, because everybody has something they're dealing with, right? Everybody does. And sometimes you sort of get so absorbed in your own world that you forget that everybody, and I mean everybody, somebody's got somebody who's been touched by cancer. Somebody's got somebody who's had some sort of chronic disease that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
If you can think about other people and they're dealing with stuff too, and have that in sort of your day-to-day approaches when you're dealing with people, understanding that the world, just look at the world around us right now and all the things that are going on. If you can just have other people's sort of consideration for other people in your day-to-day activities, that's what I tell my younger self is like, don't be so worried about, making money or
Thinking about you.
taking over the world. Yeah. More like, everything I think in the universe is connected.
Wow.
And if we can sort of take into consideration other people, their feelings, what they might be going through, and can we potentially help them like you do with your clients, and then we raise everybody up.
Wow. That is amazing, Brian. Thank you for sharing that. And wow, that I love it. Love what you shared. You added really, really good key points and thank you so much for not only sharing what happened to you, but also how you overcame that and taking you where you are right now, man.
And our experiences make us who we are.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Any final thoughts, comments?
I would just say it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm honored that you considered me to be on your podcast, and just that if there is any way that we in what I do, not only professionally, but personally, can help somebody else that's listening to the podcast, I'll make sure that my contact is out there, and try to raise other people up.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it together, and we're gonna continue growing with our partnership, and we really, really appreciate you being one of our key strategic MSO partners. So thank you so much for sharing these moments with you, with the audience. I'm pretty sure they'll learn a lot from you. So thank you for that.
Sure.
And all right, guys. So this has been the finalize Ideas Edition podcast for today. Brian Clemens, man, he really knocked it out of the park. So thank you all for listening to the podcast. Hey, I'll see you next week with another spectacular guest of our Ideas Edition podcast. You all have a great day. Take care.